Today I'm working with Sennelier oil pastels. They're very soft and very interesting to work with. I've only really worked with watercolour and acrylics before, but like all paintings, you start with mark making. So I'm just initially laying down some pieces of colour. This is a seascape, so I'm laying down some blues and greys and greens and gradually blending and working the colours together, just using a paper tissue with some baby oil. In fact, you can use oil paint solvent of your choice, but I just use baby oil because it's cheap and it works just as well. For finer blending, I'm using like a Q-tip, cotton wool bud on a stick, and yeah, it's very satisfying, and I really encourage you to give it a try. Here you can see the areas of sea and the waves starting to take shape. I'm using some little fine, just sort of scuffing the dark areas with a white pastel, and then softening the edges either with my finger or a bit of tissue paper. Don't get the tissue too wet with the oil, or you'll just lift all the pigment out and you'll be left with a piece of greasy paper. At this point I'm starting to work on the land, obviously some dark colours for the rocks and the shoreline. I'm putting on quite a bit of pigment here because it's got to stand out, and it's part of the atmospheric perspective to have a very strong foreground contrasting against the sea in the background. You can see here I'm adding some greens and using a fairly dry piece of tissue paper just to blend them together to maintain the intensity and the density of the pigment. Here I'm using cotton wool bud just to scratch away at the surface. It's very tactile. You can use also your fingernail or thumbnail or sharp point to create some details and indentations. Here you can see I've panned out so you can see the complete composition, and just to give you an idea of how they turn out, here's one that I did before completed. So I hope you found this really enjoyable and hopefully relaxing as well. Please stay in touch by following.